Number on me where I would go to work, and then I would be taken out to Montauk. I'd do 10 hours work, then they would bring me back, run me back to millisecond or so before I left, and I never knew what happened. I had to reference to that period to pull my memories. And I had done it. I pulled most of the memories. That's how I can talk of the viewer. I was the one that designed and built the viewer. Of course, I had tremendous facilities behind me to do it. I can't do
staff
it.
and information and computers.
Not like the garage.
No, not like my garage.
No. Educators.
To continue, all right, they got the working time portal, the working time vortex. Somebody on the station realized, hey, we're headed for a mess. We got to stop this thing. Just like in the old movie Donovan's Brain. What was done was in one of the chair subjects' minds, there was a little thought implanted that you're going to pull a monster out of the id, a monster out of the subconscious, and transmit it through the transmitter on site. And the person went in, lay down in the chair, went into this thing, and there was no one else in the room, which happened every once in a blue moon, but it did happen. This person snuck in and said, okay, the time is now, whatever the key word was. At that point, the person unleashed through the transmitter the form, and the transmitter precipitated this huge, big, black, hairy thing that was hungry. It ate everything in sight, buildings, people, ground, and they went into a panic when they couldn't control this thing and stop it. Pruitt says, shut the transmitter off. They go down to the power station, shut down the generators, throw the switches, freaking thing didn't stop, kept going. They're still hungry and still eating.
This is on the base?
Yeah, on the base.
Actually, we're eating people and machinery and everything.
Yep.
And smashing everything you could get
Building
in the site.
Yep.
How big was this building?
About 30 foot tall.
Storage solid or?
The transmitter had the capability to precipitate the thing. We knew at that point the transmitter could do it. And finally, Pruitt said, okay, he's got to go up and cut the wires to come out of the ground into the radar building. They cut those wires. He figured maybe there was wires, that this wire on the ground was getting power from somewhere besides the generator's house. Cut the wires, freaking thing still continued to work. And then they kept going, they cut the wires inside the building, freaking thing continued to work. No one could walk upstairs at that point. The energy was so heavy, you couldn't even get above the first floor. They tried cutting everything to the first floor to shut this freaking thing off. Now, to try to go ahead a little, what had actually happened is they had made a connection on that day that Junior was released. It was the Philadelphia experiment. Somebody had to go shut off the Philadelphia generators. I will go into that. That's his field of expertise. When the generators are shut off on the Eldridge, then Pruitt was able to take settling torches and go up and cut the transmitter apart in Montauk. You go out to this day, you'll see where there's settling torch marks and everything on the equipment.
You can go on the base now?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's wide open.
And this was in 83.
Yeah, 83, August 12, 1983. Okay, at that point, anyone that was left, they dragged into a site that we won't disclose at this point and did a total brainwashing number on. So you didn't remember a thing. All of us sitting here were brainwashed, so we didn't remember anything. Except that he found his way to my place. And that's when the deprogramming started.
You were one of the two you spoke of on the tape? Or somebody who came to your house to tell you about what happened? Or you spoke in Cameron or Al?
Cameron.
Okay.
How did you happen to go to Preston's place, Cameron?
Directed or instinct or perchance, it's hard to say. There's a story that goes along with it. It's sort of long and bulky, but somehow it comes up that indeed I was directed to, still under influence and command, so to speak, to disrupt Preston and his work.
At that point, they were getting worried about me because I was starting to stumble into Montauk in real life.
You were remembering things, or you were just,
Well,
you had occasion to go
over
there?
the years, one of the problems with this thing that they set up. Although you don't remember, well, okay, over the years, one of the problems with this thing that they set up, although you don't remember any of the work you did, little bits and pieces of it filter through, I developed a huge interest in esoteric technology, psychotronics, psychic activity. I was researching this to the nth degree. I had a team of psychics working with me, and we were trying to figure out what was the energy form and all this stuff. I knew in the mid-'70s there was a source of psychic interference here on Long Island. And after a couple of years, I was able to trace it right out to Montauk. So I had my eye on Montauk for years. Of course, I could never get on there. The security was thick. Well, there was a Darrowwood base. There was security guards all over the place. And all I know is a friend of mine from out east called me and said, Preston, the old Montauk Air Base is wide open. Well, when do you want to go look? I said, tomorrow. And I was out there that morning with my friend. We walked all around. First thing, when military pulls out of a base, what do? They clean everything up, they take everything with them. There was junk strewn over the whole base. There were files dumped out of a file cabinet just filling one room in the big building, the floor of one room. Equipment was still left. Power was still on in sections of the base. You had switching the lights to come on.
People gone?
They just fled, zoom.
Because they were scared of this creature?
Fled in utter panic.
Right.
What happened to the one?
That's your responsible military for
When the transmitter was shut off, was finally cut apart, the monster stopped animation and over a period of days just faded back into hyperspace. See, all these things were active, tunnels, creations, whatever, as long as that transmitter was functioning. Either it got power from the site or it got power from the Eldridge. It didn't matter where it got its power from.
What happened to this person who created this id or whatever? Is that one of you?
I don't know if these guys want to say.
Well, information, there is a photograph that was taken just on routine basis out in Montauk that was presented in the first lecture, Preston in 85, 6. Chicago, wasn't it? USPA conference. There were random photos taken, and one of the gentlemen from SITU, is that correct?
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
Society for the Investigation of the Unexplained.
He looked at a photograph and said there's something there unusual. There was a blow-up of it, and there was a sort of what's been categorized as sort of like a Bigfoot. What I see on that is myself, is an image of myself riding the back of it. How much, I'm very startled with the photograph for sure. It does seem to have a connection with me, even though I try to discredit it.
Is this in one of these slides? One of these ones?
It's there.
It's in the collection of slides.
It's in the slides. Very small.
So it feels like it's faint image or something.
Right, a faint image.
So this would be very similar to the quote-unquote id or the shadow or whatever
Yeah?
technological technique you want to use.
Yeah, just an add-on here. Preston spoke of a 30-foot type creature. There are a number of images associated. 30 feet is by all means, could very well be correct. 9 feet, 10 feet, depending which image is considered.
Also, perhaps how scared the individual was who saw it.
Well, some
These
of the
tales
marks.
grow.
Some of the marks on the buildings are up quite high. It had to be like 30, it had to be at least 25 feet.
I would say
On the
at least
outside or
15,
inside?
probably more.
Outside.
So when you got outside and it was attacking the building from the
Oh,
outside?
yeah.
All right.
It was rolling free.
Was it like a monkey type big, like King Kong?
It was very similar in appearance to one of the Bigfoot, which you showed, and I've seen pictures of them, I'm sure, at various times.
But huge.
But huge. Instead of being 7 foot, it was perhaps closer to 30. My original impression was, when I first went on the base, it was perhaps 30 foot high.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, how was this creature created again? Was there some kind of someone decided this to be created?
Yeah. Some person